Hi everyone, this is Karen with Inspired by Graham, and this is card class number 2 with heart-shaped bundle, and that's from Sale-a-bration. The cards we made on Monday included Be My Valentine, and we used the Adorning Hearts hybrid embossing folder. And on the inside, we just kind of did some simple stamping, You Mean So Much to Me. And then this one here is so cute. I just love the little critter here. My thoughts of you are all heart-shaped. I just really love that sentiment. And then on the inside, we stamped the flowers in Melon Mambo and the little leaves here in Grating Apple Green, and also added a strip of designer paper. So those two cards were made on Monday. The cards we're going to be making today is My Heart Loves Your Heart. Don't you just love that? And then on the inside, I'm going to tell you how you can save some money by cutting your inside panels a certain size. And we'll make this one last because it's got a little bit more involved with it. This one is a little bit more simple stamping, just because I care. And then on the inside, we have some designer paper. This one's kind of boring if you ask me. I'm going to stamp some flowers there as well. So we will start out with this card and then we'll transfer over to this one here. But let's first go over all of the products that we're using today. And right now, January 15th, this is my free with a purchase, the second half of January card class. And I didn't announce that on Monday because we hadn't gotten to the 15th of the month. So what that means is a product order of $35 or more using my host code here, 33JUKTKS at inspiredbygraham.com. A $35 product order will get you one of every one of the kits over there, card kits. And that would be great for Valentine's Day or just maybe thinking of you on a lot of those sentiments. And then a $60 order will get you all 4 card kits plus an embellishment. And let me just show you Sale-a-bration. The paper we're using is called Toadstool Garden 6x6. It's on page 8 of the brochure. And then the stamp set and bundle, or the bundle, it is a stamp set and dies. It is free with a $120 purchase from my website product, and that has to be a product purchase, does not include shipping and sales tax. So that is a bundle. You get a stamp set and dies, and I just love it. I just love how everything it die cuts really nicely, easy, and stamps very nicely as well. So again, that's Sale-a-bration. Here's a close-up of the Toadstool Gardens. I'm focusing on the back side of the designer paper, meaning I won't be using any of the mushrooms. Mass-producing lots of Valentine's Day cards. So I believe all of these, less the mushrooms, go great with Valentine's Day, and I got the paper for free. So you can't beat that with a $60 purchase. And then here is the Hearts and Hugs bundle. And this one is kind of like a freestanding stamp. You can die cut, you can just stamp. So here's the walruses colored die cut. Here they are just stamped on some basic way, and same here. The little critter we're using today is the cute little mouse down there. And then let's see, let's go over a little bit closer with heart-shaped. The sentiments in this bundle include My Heart Loves Your Heart. My thoughts of you are all heart-shaped. Hello. Just because I care, and thank you. So really, really nice sentiments and a really nice stamp set to go. And then here's the Hearts and Hugs, which you just already saw. So let's see, we're going to be using this card first. So with that said, I want to remind you on Monday, what we did was on this card, we took our Stylish Shapes die, which is the largest circle in the die set. And these two were kind of just taped together underneath the, actually, hold on, I've got the wrong card here. here it is. So this one here was die cut, and the designer paper and the granny apple green was together, just held by some washi tape. Die cut it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I said I'll hold these on until Wednesday, and we will be using these for Wednesday's class, which I'm going to be doing with you today. So those will be included in card, let's see, card number 1. So it's a different design, but that's okay. So this one will go there, and then this one goes with the other card. So let me grab the kit here, and let's see how many little pieces we've got in this one. We've got our basic white envelope, which I'll need to stamp on. And then we have a piece of basic white, which is 4 by 5 1/4. We'll stamp on that one. This little piece was left over from the 6 by 6. We will put that on the envelope flap. So that goes in this pile. Designer paper is goes 4 inches across or thereabouts. I'll have to trim it off. So just another scrap. The die cut here is with this Spotlight on Nature, very popular stamps or a die set. And then it's going to go on the granny apple green die cut there. So we need this one for stamping. We got 2 little strips in case I mess up. These are Melon Mambo, and they're 1/4 of an inch. So very, very small fonts on our sentiments. And then we have, let me grab the embossing folder. It is called Eyelet 3D embossing folder. So it does emboss really nicely. You can use this side or you can use the deboss side. Doesn't really matter. It just is your preference. And then finally our card base, which is Melon Mambo, and it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So let me just grab all these little pieces over here so I don't lose them or they fall on the floor. Let's see, we are going to stamp with photopolymer stamps and also cling stamps. So I'm going to bring in my mouse pad here. It's going to give you a little bit of squishiness for our photopolymer stamps. And let me just find the, let's see, I might just stamp both of them. That way I won't have to stamp them another time. So let me just grab my sentiment, and it's just because I care. And then I am going to stamp this because I want it dark in early espresso. And again, that's one of the colors that's in the paper. So it will coordinate nicely with the Melon Mambo. And I'm going to just stamp in the middle of the Melon Mambo. And then I'm going to just stamp this one since I've got out the sentiment. And, ooh, that was a little too high. It'll just save me some time later tonight. Okay, so that one's a little bit better. So we've got this one here. We'll put that over in the done pile. And since I'm still working photopolymer, I will bring in my white. And we will be stamping the flowers in, let's see, I think, let me just think. Hold on just a second. Okay, I've decided that I'm going to stamp the flowers in Melon Mambo, as that is the color of the card base and the sentiment strip. So let me grab the flowers, and I'm just going to stamp 3 of them in the upper left corner here. We're going to have designer paper at the bottom, so that would get covered up if I did stamp it here. So we've got that stamped, and then I'm going to take the granny apple green, and we'll stamp 3 sets of leaves amongst the flowers up here. So we'll just stamp one over here in that corner, and then how about over here? And then finally we'll just stamp one of them there. So odd numbers, don't forget, there's 3 flowers and 3 little leaves there. That one's done. And let's do that same thing for our envelope flap. And on Monday, we chose that we selected 3 sets of flowers rather than 1. It looks a little bit more festive with, oh boy, let me see if I can fix this. I'm gonna be close. Oh, it's not too bad. I'm gonna go with it. 3 sets is better than the 1. So that's why we're gonna do that. And we will stamp, let's see. I'm gonna stamp 1 there. How about 2 here? Oh shoot, I just did Melon Mambo. Have you ever done that before? I'm not going to edit that because I'm going to show you my faults too. So we'll just clean that with our Stampin' Scrub. And I'm going to keep those Melon Mambo leaves there and see if anybody notices. I'm going to grab that Granny Apple Green this time. And let me see. I'm going to add another green leaf there. And how about one there? And then one here. And then one over here. And we've got to add some to the inside. So we've got odd numbers. So there's 3. And then we'll stamp 2 sets over here. And then finally 1, let's throw it right there. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. And I think that's it for stamping. And now we're gonna switch over to our little mouse. Let me close up all of these ink pads so they don't dry out or Karen puts her hands in them. All right, we'll stack those up over here. I'll need them for the next card. Okay, so we're going to use Memento Black, and we have our cling stamp with the little mouse. So we're using Stampin' Blends, so the ink, the black ink that you need is called Memento Black. I'm going to try to stamp the little mouse in the center of the circle. Okay, isn't that cute? You can leave them just as is, but we're going to color the little mouse with crumb cake. So I've got dark, and I also have the light version. We have a chisel point and a brush tip. I prefer chisel point because it gives me a little bit more control. I'm also using the Melon Mambo, and I'm going with the light shade, and that's going to be for the heart. You also need a bit of scrap paper, so let me just grab some, let me grab a bigger piece of white so I can just put it under here, because our Stampin' Blends will go right through the paper and it could damage your work surface. So just make sure you have a little bit of scrap paper, and I will try to zoom in a little bit so you can see my coloring. And it's nothing to write home about for sure. But I just like to start out with the darker shade, and then we'll just go around very lightly around that heart, and let's put some darker shade around those little whiskers. When darkness is supposed to act like a shading, like this where the sun is shining. So let's go down over here and around the little heart. I'm going to fill in with white, the lighter version of crumb cake. And over here, I'm just going to do a little bit in dark. Now let's switch over to the light, and then we'll go back and fine tune it. The ink does take a little bit to dry, so normally it does dry a little bit later. So that's why I like to go with the dark first, and then transfer to light, and then finish up with dark if it's needed. I'm going to leave that nose white for now, and then his little hands, very, very small area to color. You could use your brush tip, but for time's sake, I'm just going to be using the chisel point, and same with his little feet. And then I'm going to go slowly around his little tail. Okay, and let me just hit his feet one more time. Now, the sample, you're gonna barely see the heart, but I felt like the dark Melon Mambo was a little bit too dark. It blended in with the paper too much. So I'm gonna try it. I don't know how this is gonna work, but I will try the lighter shade of Melon Mambo. It's definitely a lot lighter. Okay, now I want to finish up with the dark, and sometimes I do like to use the brush side, not very often, and this is a new crumb cake, so we're getting lots and lots of ink flying out. I like to just take my time, and I like to usually throw on about 3 or 4 layers of ink from the Stampin' Blends. Depending on how much ink is in your Stampin' Blends markers, I find that when it's getting a little bit lower on ink, then it has a tendency just to be a little bit lighter. And when you're using the brush side, make sure you don't push down too hard, or else that's going to fray or it could break. So let me go over with the lighter shade. And then down here, we'll hit it again. And there's these little toes that are so tiny. Okay, now what should we do for his little nose? I think what I will do is, let me grab my, let's go with Peach Pie, a little bit of a lighter shade. All right, I got my little Peach Pie here, and I'm just going to hit it really, really lightly. There. That is such a difference in the lighter tone versus the darker. So it'll be interesting to see how this does turn out. So I think we've got everything stamped and ready to go. So let's clear up this area. I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet, and we will start with the card base and with our eyelet 3D embossed panel. This is 4 by 5 1/4, by the way. Let me grab my liquid glue. I like to use liquid glue on embossed panels. I'm gonna tap it there to get it going. Oops. Didn't you like that? Oh, jeez. Let me just grab some of that and move it down here. Okay. Now we'll add this to the card front. And you just want even distribution on the left, right, top, and bottom. And we'll let that adhere for a few seconds before we move on to the next step. It's got all these little embossed flowers and dots, so it'll just take a little bit longer to adhere to the Melon Mambo. So we have that all set. So our next layer up are all the circles. So we will start layering those up, and I like to work, we'll start with the circle here that has already been, of course, pre-cut on Monday with this card as a reminder. So we'll start with a designer paper, move up to the granny apple green, and then our stamped image, and then our sentiment going across. All right, so let's work with the circles. I'm going to remove that from the silicone craft sheet, and then we're going to layer down the designer paper. And then this one here is going to just get adhered right to the designer paper. Make sure you're adding the glue to the rough side of the die cut. Same here. You want the smooth side facing you. And that's going to give a nice little border. And then we're going to take the little mouse here, flip them over, and we will add some Stampin' Dimensionals to the little mouse. I like to add 3 to circles and just create this little triangle, and you should be fine with that. Let me grab my piercing tool, and we'll remove the backings real quick and throw those right in my trash bin. And we'll bring in the circle again, and it just goes right here. Okay, next up, oh, I should have done this first, darn it. Okay, well, we're gonna have to wing it. So what I want to do here is I'm gonna cover up his hands. Okay, so what I should have done, and let me see if I can take this off carefully. Yes, I can. I'm gonna have to remove these because they're not even sticky anymore because a little bit of that granny apple green came off. But that's okay. We can add some more, but I want to trim this on the edges here. So I'm going to center this on the circle, and you can see how these extend out. Then we're going to simply just take our paper snips and trim it down. Okay, so only put the glue. You don't have to go all the way to the end. Right about there. Okay, so now, oh yeah, you can see that heart. Even though it's just a little bit, what a difference. Okay, we're going to let that dry just a little bit because we're going to be trimming that off. Give it a little haircut. And to do that, I've got my paper snips here. And we're just going to trim from the back side because it's easier to see the melon mambo. And then there's just a little bit here. Okay, so we got that done. Going to cap these paper snips because they are so sharp. Now it's our turn to add the dimensionals. So let me grab the sheet again, and we'll repeat that process and create our little triangle. Press them down, make sure they're on there really good. And then let's take our piercing tool and quickly take off those backings. We'll bring in our circle again. And we won't see you can tell where those Stampin' dimensionals were, but that's okay because this is going to cover it all up. All right, you can add dimensionals underneath here if you would like. I did not on the sample card because it's already got some here. So I'm just going to grab my liquid glue and add enough so that I know it's going to stay put. Okay, I'm going to look at that sentiment because that's what's going to, you want the sentiment to be straight. Don't worry about the mouse. Okay, so that's looking good. Also come to the inside of the card and just rub it around here just so we know that that glue is getting adhered to the melon mambo. While that's drying, we can certainly work on the inside. So I've got this all stamped. I've got an extra piece strip here, and I'll just simply add a little bit of glue. And I chose this strip because it's got the granny apple green in it. And on the front, of course, we've got the granny apple green. So we'll tie that to the inside of the card as well. And then flip this over, and we'll take our paper snips one more time and just trim that off. Okay, next step is just to add our glue to the back side here. And then it gets added, oops, not that way. We want to go this way. We don't want it upside down. And same as the front, we want equal borders on the top, bottom, left, and right. All right, so that's drying. I'm going to just set it aside. Let's work on the envelope flap. And I like to do this just if I have extra pieces of designer paper, and it's very simple to do it. You can use your Seal Plus. I've got the liquid glue here. I'm using it, so let's just use the liquid glue. And you just want to get towards the edge and a little bit down the middle. If you put too much liquid glue on there, it's just gonna, you're gonna know. It's gonna, your paper is gonna look a little like flimsy. So we've got that. Now, if you notice, there's a little bit of white showing. Don't worry about that, okay? We're going to trim that right off. So what I'm going to do first, actually, no, I'm going to trim that off now. And all you simply do is bring in your paper trimmer, and then we will work from this side so we can kind of see it. We only need to take off like basically less than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, that goes in the garbage. I like to hang my paper trimmer on a little hook on my wall. And now we're going to need our paper snips one more time. And we're just going to trim around the edges here. And then repeat on the other side. So no one will ever know that we trimmed our envelope flap by just a little bit. And see, that looks perfectly fine. So make sure you're using your scraps. Don't throw them away. Well, I guess you can throw some of them away if they're really tiny. All right, so that is your envelope, really pretty. And now the embellishments, let me grab those. They are the iridescent adhesive back discs. They are in our annual catalog, and I love them because they go with the paper. They're just so pretty. So I'm going to grab, on this one here, I use the Granny Apple Green shade. So on this one, I'm going to, let's use, oh boy, it's really hard to say. I'm going to go with, it looks like a iridescent kind of blue. So on this one, I added, I think, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh, 8. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One of them must have fallen off. So I'm going to add another one there because, you know, we need our odd numbers. So let's grab, I like to put them on these little flowers. That's probably why it fell off. So let's just press it down with the end of that piercing tool. And I'm going to try to just add 5. So let's go over here. Again, press it down into that little hole. Let's go up here. Let's put one on this little dot. And then 1, 2, 3, 2 more. We'll go down, way down. I don't want to go straight across, right? So let's think about this. How about right here? Yes. Oh, then it's straight up and down. Gosh, darn it. So we will go down here. So that's 4, and then one more. I think we're going to go right there. There. Okay, we're done card number 1. Can you believe it? Okay, generally speaking, it would take a little bit quicker time, or it would be a little bit quicker to do this on your own. All right, so here's card number 1 that we've done, and then the inside of this one, and then the inside. I'm going to go back and add the flowers over there. I think it looks a little bit better with those cute little flowers there. All right, so that is our first card for the day. Our second card is this one right here. So we're going to be working with the beautiful hearts. And here's that Granny Apple Green that we die cut out of that first card on Monday. So let's grab my card kit here, and hopefully I've got everything in here. If I remember correctly, it has a lot of different parts to it. So we'll work with our basic white envelope, and then this is for the envelope flap. And then we have our sentiment, which will be My Heart Loves Your Heart. I've got my 2 die cuts hearts. One is in fresh freesia and one is in pumpkin pie. And then we have a little piece of designer paper that's going to go on the inside on the basic white. And let me grab that basic white so it will look like this. And I told you in the beginning of the video that I was going to tell you about a little trick or how you can save your money. So instead of putting, let's see this one here, a big panel like this, you can add a smaller one. So if you cut your basic white 2 3/4 by 4 1/4, so you cut it down on an 8 1/2 by 11, and then you cut 2 3/4, you're going to get 6 of these panels versus 4, excuse me, of a bigger panel. So that's going to go on the inside there. I'm going to actually add some flowers to that one too. And then we have our designer paper here. I believe it's 1 1/2 by 3 3/4. It's going to go right there. This piece here is 3 3/4 by 5, which is going to get adhered to some early espresso, which is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And then finally we have our grading apple green, which is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So let's put everything over here that does not require any stamping out of the way, and then we will focus on our stamping. And again, we'll be using photopolymer stamps. So we'll bring in my little mouse pad here. And we did stamp that in pumpkin pie. So let me grab my pumpkin pie. And then my little stamp. So it's way over there. I have it mounted on a D block diagonally. That way, I like to do diagonals because then my eyes won't go to the side of the block. It's going to go right to the stamp itself. Okay, that's not too bad. And let me put that in the done pile. On the inside, we're going to do we're going to stamp the flowers. So I am going to stamp those in pumpkin pie as well. So let me clean this. I've got the Melon Mambo ink on it from the first card we did. So we're going to add our pumpkin pie to this. So we don't want to contaminate our colors. So we'll just ink up, and I'm only going to put 1 set of flowers there. And let's work on our envelope. Again, I'm going to try to do a better job this time. We're going to stamp 3 sets. So we'll work in the corner first. And then let's go over here. That's better. And then we'll stamp over here. Okay, so then we'll take we'll close this up and bring in our granny apple green for the little leaves. Now I have this mounted on an A block. Stampin' Up! Does not sell A blocks anymore. I'm really not sure why they did that. So your closest size next would be probably a B block, as B as in boy. We will add 3 leaves to each set of flowers. No rhyme or reason where I'm stamping those. I'm just kind of looking for a white area. And then here, I'm going to just add 1 set because we've got an odd number of leaves, which we need odd numbers versus even numbers. Okay, now we'll go back to this one and we're going to repeat that process. Let's just add 1 here and rotate our paper so it's easier to stamp, and then we'll go here and then there. Okay, I believe that is everything we need. And now it's just assembling and tying a bow. I have to say, we need to tie a bow today. Okay, so I'm going to get let's work on the bigger panels first. So we'll put our designer paper on the early espresso. It's very, very small border. I like to work in 8s because for me, I don't like the bigger borders, like 1/4 of an inch. Once in a while I'll use them, but I feel the 1/8 of an inch, for me personally, I just like it better. Okay, so now we'll flip this. No, we need to add our strip here. So this is one of the patterns. I honestly do not think it's going to go, but you can also see what it would look like if you add it like this, because right now I don't think it's going to go. But if we add this, we just have a subtle part of it. you can flip it over and see what it would look like this way. I like that better. It just fills it in and it's not as busy. So we'll put that side on next. And I'm going to randomly try to put this in the middle. Oh, I forgot to stamp the heart. I just noticed that. So we'll get the stamps out again. All right, Granny Apple Green. And this is going to be tone on tone. And I just love this heart. So it's a bigger stamp. So sometimes I like to go like this with my ink pad first. Or you can do it this way, but make sure you're moving it around so the whole entire heart has ink on it. So we're going to just randomly try to get this in the middle. Hold it. That way our ink gets in there. Isn't that beautiful? I told you it was going to be really pretty. Okay, so that is our heart. You could simply go with that and call it good. But I am going to layer those hearts up. So the next step is bringing those little hearts in. And they're so pretty. I know I've said that like a million times, right? So on these, when you're working with the hearts, do not put ink or glue on every petal here. Just randomly dot it with your glue. You could use adhesive sheets as well. Now, I do not want to put this exactly on that stamped image. I'm going to just bring it down a little bit. I'm going to try to get that to show a little bit through so we'll see it and it's not all covered up with the hearts. So now we'll take our Fresh Freesia heart, and these are all colors that are in the designer paper. So again, I am just trying to tap my ink there. There we go. Ink. I said ink again. My glue. And then we're going to layer this, but I'm not layering it exactly. We're going to just move it over just so. It's easier to take your block and press down. You don't want it all adhered down. So there's some flexibility here with, you know, bending them up if you really wanted to. But I think they're nice just flowing as is. Okay, since we got this, let's add our sentiment. My heart loves your heart. And we will flip this over and Stampin' Dimensionals. Now I'm going to cut some of these because it's so close if you use the standard size. So we'll just cut those in half. Another option is to use the edge piece. But I will use, I'm going to use 3 of them. There. Okay. And we'll press those down. Oh, sorry, my floor. I'm in a spot where it squeaks. I'm going to have to move this desk because that's irritating. I don't know if you can hear it, but I certainly can hear it. Okay, so we'll just put this across. And I'm just looking at the distance between the white and the edge of the circle. Okay, that's really pretty. A nice focal point. Okay, now we're going to get our dimensionals all set with this one. So we'll add 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the one in the middle has to go off center because your ribbon is going to go there. I'll press those down. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet for this step. And I like to remove my backs of the dimensionals first. And then, listen to that floor. Crazy. Okay, this is the sheer ribbon. It's iridescent. It's called Silver and White. It's in the annual catalog. And we will remove that washi tape. We're going to create a nice little bow. Karen will, hopefully. I'm going to string this around the back side. See that dimensional's not in the air. It's not in the way. And now I'm going to bring my card base over. And then we'll add the panels. And now I can still move this ribbon, okay? And I'll bring this one over, the right side over to the left, and then I'm going to figure out how much ribbon I'm going to need to make that bow. So I tend to use a little bit more than necessary because sometimes it just takes me a while to create my bow. And lately I've been adding knots. So got it backwards. So I'm going to snip this off. Okay, hopefully I got enough. I think I do. All right, so I'm going to create my little knot first. And I'm going to press that down with my middle finger and then just bring in that. And there we go. Now you could leave it like this and just trim it down, but I want to try to get it a little bit fancier. So we'll try to make a bow. Oops. Okay. Might need my tweezers. Oh, I think I got it. Ooh. Oh, well. Oh, that's not too bad. Make that a little bit smaller. Oops. You should hear the little crack. I can't step backwards. Okay, I'm trimming off the tails. There, I think that's okay. Get rid of all those little pieces. Throw them on the floor. Oh, static electricity. All right, if you want, you can add a mini glue dot on the back side of the knot to keep it secure. But I'm not going to do that yet because I want to put the focal point on, and that way I'm going to know when I slide it over here. I want to make sure that the bow is really over to the edge. That way this is going to fit on here a little bit better. Okay, so grab your dimensionals one more time and we will create our little triangle, only 3. And press down and remove. All right, well, this gets slid over here. Now, when you add this, it could also secure that in place a little bit better. And you may not need that little mini glue dot. But for sake of maybe some of you don't know how to do that, I will show you. So we've got our mini glue dots, and I like to take it off and I curl it and make a little ball out of the glue dot. Then I will pull this knot up just a little bit, slide it underneath the ribbon, press down, and then pull that out. And now it's secure. Okay, let's work on the inside, which is very easy to do. We've got our basic white stamped, and I got my little piece of designer paper. I will add the stripes. That looks really good. I like this one. And we'll add it there. I like to add a little bit of, show a little bit of white there underneath the strip. And then we will add our white. Okay, our embellishment of choice for this card are these rainbow adhesive back dots. Again, these can be found in the annual catalog. And the color I chose for that first card is Fresh Freesia. And this one here, I wonder if these here, I think they're peach pie. Oh, they'll look good. So we're going to add one large one, one little tiny one, and then the large one will be in the opposite corner up here. All right, I think we've done it. So let me just clean up my area here, and we will show you all of the cards, and I'll go over my ordering special one more time for you. So we created this card today, and this is my sample. So you can see the difference between the two little polka dots, and this got a lot bigger, more ribbon on that one. It's a little bit smaller. So that was card number 4. Oops, number 3 was the little mouse, and the only difference is the designer paper that's underneath and the color of the heart. And you can see I did lower this one a little bit more, but using the light melon mambo works much better. And that is card number 3. Card number, I don't remember which one I did first. This one here, my thoughts of you are all heart shaped. Isn't that very nice? And then I used throughout the year stamp set for this one. It wasn't in our annual catalog last year. Then it went to online exclusives, and when I made the cards, I didn't realize it's no longer available. So if you're wondering what stamp set that came from, that's the one, and we don't have it anymore. So but I'm sure you have another stamp set that says "Be My Valentine." I think we all do in our craft room somewhere. All right, so my ordering special again, you must use the host code 33JUKTKS at inspiredbygraham.com. $35 product order is you'll get 1 card kit of each of these designs, plus our written instructions, and you have this video and Monday's video to go by too, if you need help that way. And an order of $60, well, you'll get a choice of Sale-a-bration products, and I would recommend getting the Toadstool Garden 6x6 designer paper if you're going to be making Valentine's Day cards. That'll be free for you. And then you'll get all 4 kits plus an embellishment that I'll pick out for you that will coordinate really nice with the cards. So I can't give you any of the stamped images, but I certainly can send you all the kits and you can make your own. So I hope you enjoyed this week's video of Valentine's Day cards. I'm not really sure what's next for me next week, but we'll figure it out. And all this information will be on my website, which is inspiredbygraham.com. So have a nice evening, day, whenever you watch the video, and I appreciate your support. I'm really working hard to grow my Stampin' Up! Business. And I would really appreciate your support, maybe a thumbs up, share the video, or placing an order at inspiredbygraham.com. Thanks so much, and I appreciate your support. Bye for now.